How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully everyone's having a lovely day. I tell you what, looking up and down this Bengals schedule, there is a lot of good matchups this season, but there isn't one that gets me quite as excited, quite as interested as this Cincinnati Bengals versus Houston Texans matchup. Two former Ohio State quarterbacks, one obviously more of an LSU quarterback, let's call it what it is. Both coming through the system though, and you know what, as a Buckeyes fan, I want to see them both succeed, and boy, you watch CJ Stroud on early so far in his career. He starts to remind you a lot of a young Joe Burrow. I ain't going to say he's the same player, but from a perspective, he comes into an organization that was just all sorts of in shambles. Everybody's saying, hey, who wants to go here? It's a mess. It's not a place you want to play. It's not developing a good situation for a quarterback. He comes in here and takes the reins of this Houston Texans team, has them at 4-4 so far this season. He's been playing some good ball. He's been getting a lot of guys involved. He's been getting a lot of confidence instilled into this team. He goes into last week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, no kicker. I'll say it again, no kicker. Kicker gets injured early, and that already puts you against the 8 ball. They know what you're going to do. They know what you have to do. Anyway, kicker gets injured. Tampa Bay gets an early turnover in this football game off a Dalton Schultz fumble. It's easy to say, okay, here we go. 3-4 Texans. We've been struggling. Already starting the game off on the negative side of the ball. Now CJ Stroud goes out there again. Takes care of business. Gets his team back in a football game. Late in the game, Tampa Bay drives down the field. 46 seconds left. That's a touchdown, and that's a lead for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a game which should have been a game-winning drive for Baker Mayfield. Why are we not talking about this enough? We have heard this before. Patty Mahomes goes down the field in 41 seconds to score the game-winning drive, or on a game-winning drive. CJ Stroud had 46 seconds left, goes 75 yards, drives his football team down the field, and scores a touchdown. This guy's in his 8th game in his NFL career, and he was picking apart this team, looking like he's been here for 10 years and won an MVP twice. 470 yards, 5 touchdowns. This guy's thrown 1 interception in his entire NFL career. We're halfway through the season. I am more than impressed. Sure, he's a rookie quarterback. Sure, you're going to have a game here or there. It's not the prettiest. You're going to have your ups and downs. But boy, has CJ Stroud been impressive. Nico Collins has appeared to be what is his number 1 go-to target so far this season. Tampa Bay shuts this guy down and says, all right, beat us another way. Do something with someone other than Nico Collins. He finds 3 separate players, 2 receivers, 1 tight end for over 100 yards each. That's what the greats do. That is what the greats do. And that is what CJ Stroud did this past football game. And it is going to be a heck of a matchup this week. Bengals, Texans, kind of in the same situation. Texans out there can't run the football. Bengals out there again last week struggled to run the football. They won a good game and they're struggling to run the football once again. And you kind of go into this one knowing it's more than likely going to be a duel versus with these 2 quarterbacks. We talk all about what CJ Stroud did, and again, I am more than impressed. More than impressed with what CJ Stroud has done on this football team for the Houston Texans so far this season. And I'm happy for it. I'm so pumped for this guy. I really wish him nothing but the most of success. And it really appears like this is the team. It's going to be, we're going from an AFC South that was kind of like the division you just beat down on there for a few years to you're going to have Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have CJ Stroud. It's going to be fun to watch these teams play. Nonetheless, let's talk about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow comes back, injured, can't move. It's like, is he really this hurt? Is it the calf that's bothering him this much? There's a lot of question marks. Bengals start season 1-3. Bengals defense can't stop the run to save their lives. Bengals defense is struggling a little bit, but again, when your offense ain't going anywhere, your defense is going to get tired. They're going to get worn down. And all of a sudden, Joe Burrow starts to feel closer and closer to 100%. He can move around in that pocket again. He's making plays again. He's making throws again. He's going from one of his statistically just historic, terrible season on his part to all of a sudden being the Joe Burrow we all love and remember. 4-game win streak for this Cincinnati Bengals team. The last 3 games, they have allowed CMC 54 yards per carry, or 54 yards on the ground. Kenneth Walker, 3.3 yards per carry. James Cook, last game, 20 yards on the ground. These are teams that were running the football very successfall. And all of a sudden, this Bengals defense that was, hey, we struggling to stop the run, gassed this team for the run, is clamping down, stopping the run. The last 3 games, all going to be in the playoffs. The Bengals allowed 18 or fewer points in every single one of those games. Ludini, as we call him in Cincinnati, has once again found a way and once again does what he does best, is coached up this defense and has found a way to get these guys gelling and playing very good football once again. And it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to throw at a rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud, who obviously has not seen everything. And there's going to be some things he hasn't seen. There's going to be some things thrown at him this week. But for a guy that does not turn the football over, going up against a Bengals team and a Bengals defense that leads the league in turnover differential right now, that has been making play after play, game after game. And that is what this team does, is they play championship caliber defense, where when the offense slows down and the offense needs some big plays out of the defense, they make them. And we're going to have to see what they can do this week against the Houston Texans. Nonetheless, I mean, going back to talking about Joe Burrow, he threw for over 350 last week as well. Couple touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack. How about this offensive line? A Bengals offensive, the ringer that Joe Burrow's been through in a career. And this offensive line allowed 1 sack against a Bills defense that was a top 3 team in the league when it came to sacks this season. You talk about a team that is clicking on all cylinders. You beat the 49ers. You beat the things were looking bleak. And we see a year into this is the 3rd year now. There was people are going to learn to quit doing it. They count the Bengals out 1-3. Now what? You got to play the Bills. You got to play the 49ers. You got to play the Jaguars. You got to play the Chiefs. Seattle's playing good ball. You got to play the Ravens and Browns again still. You got to play twice against. What's going to happen? They're 9-8 football team. People were saying. All of a sudden, the Bengals look like they are all the way back to where they were the past couple of seasons, playing stellar football, led by Joe Burrow and led by this defense, led by this offense, these weapons on offense. We just talked about CJ Stroud. You know, teams take away that number 1. What's he going to do? Bengals go into this game against the Bills. The Bills said, hey, we're not going to allow Jamar Chase to beat us. We are going to follow him around. We're going to bracket him all game. There's always going to be 2 guys on him. Beat us another way. What happens? T. Higgins seems to be all the way back as well. He was injured, dealing with those the first few weeks, and he was struggling. 2 weeks in a row, you've seen him kind of show those glimpses of coming back to being him full self. Last week had a stellar game. More importantly here for Joe Burrow is getting other people involved. Bengals could have easily traded for a tight end. And I think a lot of people wanted them to trade for a tight end. They get Irv Smith involved. They get Sample involved. And these guys, it almost felt like a shot of confidence for these tight ends to say, hey, they could have traded a 6th-round pick and probably tried anybody out. But they believe in us. Now we got to come up and play. Burrow was getting everyone involved early and often in that football game. Like we said, what the greats do is they get the players that aren't their best involved, and they still win when they are down those players. And we've seen that out of both these quarterbacks last week. And I think it's going to be an exciting matchup this week between the offenses. And I think it's going to be a matchup that depends on which quarterback plays better. Again, it's no secret. Neither one of these football teams can run a football. They're going to be slinging it. They might try to get you to respect the run game, but they're going to be slinging it. Who can make that turnover? Can the Bengals defense cause a turnover against, again, CJ Stroud, who just miraculously does not turn the football over? It was funny when I first started diving into this matchup. I said, hey, Bengals ain't lost a game against a non-division opponent that wasn't a playoff team or didn't finish with an above 500 record in almost 2 years, besides the Tennessee Titans earlier this season. And I said, hey, do I really think they're going to do it again? Probably not. They're going to beat the teams they got to beat outside the division. Then I thought, you know what? No. Let's pump the brakes a little bit here. This Houston Texans team might not finish below 500. They're a 500 football team now. CJ Stroud's only going to get better. So like, all right, well, let's scrap that. Let's scrap that theory. Let's throw that out the door. I do, however, think CJ Stroud's going to see some stuff once again that he hasn't seen before. I think Lou Anarumo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And the fact that nobody took him and gave him a head coaching job, well, thank you. We thank you for that. Somebody's going to give this guy a job. What he does, the way he game plans, it's miraculous. Bengals in this win streak they're on right now, they have scored touchdowns or they have scored points in each of their first 2 drives in each of these games. And again, shout out Zach Taylor, shout out this coaching staff. A coaching staff that has come in prepared and ready to play and game planned really well during this Bengals win streak. There was a lot of heat, there was a lot of fire, there was a lot of questioning calls of the game planning of this Bengals team. And again, the coaching staff, you have to give them credit where credit's due. And the first couple of drives of the game has a lot to do with how you game plan for a team. And it feels like the Bengals are clicking on all cylinders right now. The Bengals are hot. When the Bengals get hot, they are very, very difficult to slow down. And I cannot see with the Bengals playing the way they are right now, being slowed down by the Houston Texans. I think the Texans are going to put up a fight, though. I think this one stays close for a vast majority of the game. Bengals might pull a little bit away late here in the fourth. I'm going to say Bengals 30, Texans 20. Love you guys' thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.